Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Italian authorities, as reported by Metrogate.uk, have successfully conducted a major crackdown in Sicily, leading to the arrest of 35 members of the Cosa Nostra Mafia in the town of Nisimi. The operation, which took place on April 22nd, involved coordinated efforts by K9 units, territorial officers, and helicopter squadrons. Of those targeted by court orders, 32 were placed in pretrial detention and 3 under house arrest. The charges against the suspects are extensive, including mafia-type association, external participation in mafia association, aggravated extortion, and illicit competition involving violence and threats. Furthermore, they face accusations of aggravated personal aiding, illegal waste trafficking, unauthorized waste management activities, and an association aimed at drug trafficking, as well as possession for the purpose of dealing drugs. Investigators revealed that the group had infiltrated the local economy, particularly in the used vegetable oil sector, forcing businesses into contracts through intimidation and demanding fixed payments. The raid also uncovered over 200 alleged drug transactions involving 1.5 kilograms of cocaine and 3 kilograms of cannabis, alongside the seizure of £5 and $19 million worth of assets linked to the illegal waste trade. This operation is a continuation of a previous investigation named Mondo Opposto, which led to arrests in December 2023, including a known mafia boss. CBS News reports that Ecuador's top court has approved the extradition of Dario Penafiel, known as Topo, a high-ranking lieutenant of the notorious Los Toneros drug gang, to the United States. Penafiel was arrested in September in Ecuador's Amazon region, where he was allegedly coordinating illegal mineral extraction. He is wanted by a New York court on charges related to large-scale drug trafficking offenses and the use of firearms. Authorities indicate Penafiel had ties to a dissident faction of Colombia's FARC guerrillas. He had previously been imprisoned in Ecuador for kidnapping and criminal conspiracy. Local media reports suggest Penafiel became the right-hand man to powerful drug lord Adolfo Macias, alias Fito, while both were in prison. Macias himself was recaptured in June after an infamous jailbreak and subsequently extradited to the U.S. under President Daniel Noboa's anti-crime crackdown. The U.S. and Ecuador have been engaged in joint military operations against designated terrorist organizations, including Los Toneros, which Ecuador has declared a terrorist group. CBS News reports that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has released dramatically edited video purportedly showing its commandos seizing 2 container ships, the Epaminondas and MSC Francesca, in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran claimed these seizures were due to the ships breaching its blockade. The Philippine government subsequently confirmed that all 15 Filipino seafarers on board the vessels are safe and unharmed. This marks the first non-Iranian confirmation of the seizures. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical waterway for global energy supplies, and both Iran and the U.S. have been involved in tit-for-tat vessel interceptions. The U.S. continues to enforce a naval blockade on Iranian ports, having directed 31 vessels to turn around or return to port. Meanwhile, President Trump has remained largely silent on his next move in the ongoing tensions, with the White House stating he will dictate the timeline for any peace deal. Regional instability persists, with Israel and Lebanon preparing for a second round of peace talks as their fragile ceasefire nears expiration, marred by mutual accusations of truce breaches and recent fatalities. Al Jazeera reports that Lebanese journalist Amal Khalil, who worked for the daily Al Akhbar newspaper, was killed, and her colleague Zainab Faraj was injured in an Israeli airstrike in the village of Al-Tairi, southern Lebanon. The incident occurred on Wednesday when the 2 journalists were reporting on an earlier Israeli attack on a vehicle. They were reportedly targeted while fleeing to a building for shelter after a second strike hit the house where they had sought refuge. Rescue workers faced delays in reaching Khalil due to Israeli fire. Khalil is the 9th journalist killed in Lebanon this year. She had been covering the renewed escalation of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, condemned the killing and called for an investigation into Israel's actions. German airline Lufthansa Group announced it will cut 20,000 short-haul flights through October, citing the ongoing Iran war's impact on oil prices and fears of jet fuel shortages. The airline plans to cancel less profitable routes and concentrate on flights from its Frankfurt and Munich hubs, aiming to save approximately 40,000 tons of jet fuel. This move follows Lufthansa's earlier decision to ground 27 short-haul CityLine subsidiary planes ahead of schedule. The crisis stems from the conflict between the U.S. and Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping lane for global oil and LNG. Jet fuel prices have more than doubled in some markets since late February. European airlines are particularly vulnerable, with roughly 75% of their jet fuel imports coming from the Middle East. Lufthansa stated it has secured sufficient fuel for the coming weeks and is pursuing measures to stabilize supply for the summer, including direct procurement. The Onder es Project Proken.d and Ethical Commissioner Dan Jurgensen highlighted the war's daily cost to Europe and expressed concern over lasting jet fuel shortages. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.